it's known to go down as far as the 6th floor adolescent dorm, exactly where they was sending me. So after about 2 weeks, they told me I went to court. The judge said, I'm certifying you as an adult. You're getting adjudicated as an adult, meaning that the charges I got is so too serious to handle in juvenile court that they got to send it to adult criminal court. So at that time, I'm like, man, it's serious. So I go back. Me and bro go back. I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? I'm just feeling down. You know what I mean? Like I threw my life away. Lord, that's how you made me in my heavens. I know I did some dirt and I ain't innocent. In isolation as I reminisce. The real reason you niggas switch. It was all about the Benjamin. It's up. We back with another one, K74. This is a story time. So, you know, in Florida, you got what you call JIT camps. Pretty much like prisons for adolescents. You know, for those that know about JIT camps, you know, I've seen a couple stories online that I definitely could relate to. Better yet, I'm going to get into a couple clips of that. So here it go, right here. I'm going to get into some clips about what JIT camps is and how people explain it in their words.
People don't realize, like, juvenile prison is way harder than state prison, feds, adult prison at all. You can ask anybody. They call them state babies. I mean, they have no mom. Mom's a crackhead. Dad's in prison, or the parents are dead. They have nowhere to go. 90% of them are going to go straight to state prison when they're done. You have nobody sending them money. Nobody comes and sees them. I mean, they're out of control. I seen way more violence in juvenile than I did in adult prison. Almost all the juvenile prisons are shut down because of how bad they are. I've never seen so much violence as I did in juvenile prison.
That's insane.
Yes, rapings too. And juvenile, like, no, they're animals. And it's not just one race, it's all of them.
So it's not segregated?
No, they all run together.
Giant melting pot?
It's when you get into adult, it's segregated. Like it starts to divide up.
Yeah.
In juvenile, oh no, hell no.
Head with a lot. Something that happens on a day-to-day occurrence, not just in prisons throughout the nation, but especially in the state of Florida. And not just at any prison, but at JIT camps. Gladiator school. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure probably the majority of you do. JIT is a Florida term. It's kind of become universal and used throughout the nation now, and pretty much everybody already knows the meaning. But if you don't, JIT means like youngin', or just somebody who's young. Well, in the state of Florida, they have what's called youthful offender. They call them, in short, YOs. So whenever you get sentenced to prison as an adult, and you don't even have to be an adult. You can be, 14, 15, 16. I think the youngest I've seen was maybe 13, 13-year-old being tried as an adult. And they will send you to adult prison. But the Florida Department of Corrections, the state, they made a safety net to protect young men, or even like young guys, young boys, young teenagers who are being tried as adults and being sent to prison. Adult prison, especially whenever you're tried as an adult, you normally have like a serious case, like a murder one, or you catching a lot of time, life sentence, 40 years, 30 years, or whatever it is. So a lot of these young JITs who are catching juvenile life, whenever they would send them to prison, I think back in the 80s or maybe the 70s or 90s or whatever. I don't know when they started the whole youthful offender thing. Maybe it was the 90s, I think, or the 80s when they started it. But a lot of these JITs, they would go up the road, they would send them to adult prison, and they would come across these booty bandits. And these are young kids. These are teenagers, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, or even some of the guys in their young 20s, they were just too small or frail or scared or whatever, and they were becoming prey for the predators, for the booty bandits and the chain gang. So the Florida Department of Corrections, they made a divide within the adult prison system that either if you were 25 and under, and even if you were tried as an adult, you would still go to adult prison, but you would go to JIT camp. You would go to a YO, a youthful offender institution, and that means that it's 25 and under. But if you're 25 and older, then you would go to the adult side, unless you were 18 years or older and you were sentenced to more than 25 years. Then you would get sent to an adult prison with other adults and be separate from the youthful offenders just because of your age and the amount of time that you had. So once again, man, listen, it's your boy E.I. King, and this is the Incarceration Podcast.
So as you can see, in Florida, they pretty much known if you live in that type of lifestyle, So, coming from the Bronx, New York, you grow up quick, going down there, following the wrong crowds. So, long story short, I was getting into trouble up here in New York. So, my mom pretty much was like, yo, you know what? We got to move. She fell in love with Florida. We moved there. I didn't want to go to Florida. I loved New York so much at that time that was all I knew, So I actually, didn't want to go to Florida. Wound up going down there, and I honestly wasn't really getting into too much trouble. The most trouble I got into was basically like stealing cars. You know what I mean? Like that was the most trouble I got into, stealing cars. And anytime that I went into, I believe it's called DDC. I'm not sure, but if not, I put the correct name of the facility for juveniles. But I believe it's DDC in Jacksonville, Florida. That I would go there just for stealing cars. Mind you, leaving New York, I was on probation. You know what I mean? I was on probation in the Bronx. So, like I said, my mom seen me going down the path, so she wanted to just, while she had a chance, try to get me out of that lifestyle. So I went down to Florida on probation. So I was just chilling, and I got off probation. When I got down there, I got off probation. I was doing the best I could. You know what I mean? Like I said, I would steal cars, and that was it. You know what I mean? Like nothing major, you know. But later on down the line, I want to say probably about year and a half of me living down there, I pretty much committed a crime that was what they would call I'm, I committed a crime that in Florida it was the crime that it was basically they can charge you as an adult because it was that serious. I get down there at this time I'm I'm 16. So I moved to Florida at 13, and by 16 I was in juvie. Um just turned 16, and I was in DDC, and I remember seeing everybody going home, like everybody getting they phone call, and they're like, all right, your mom's on their way. You know what I mean? Because, it was just little juveniles in there for like maybe stealing or running away, just this petty stuff. You know what I mean? But here it is. I'm in here for some serious stuff. Um, and and I got locked up with some people, you know what I mean, like some family members, and they was in this, so I had some Cody's in this case, but I'm just speaking on me right now, and my experience, like what I went through, because everybody's journey is different. I could just tell you, like at 16, going into the system in Florida, where it's known for racism, and I just went in there just straight on like, I was naive. So basically how we got caught was, you know what I mean, in a stolen vehicle, and pretty much, the vehicle flipped, and we let police on a high speed chase, and then the vehicle flipped. You know what I mean? I thank God nobody really got hurt or injured, because the way that car flipped, somebody should have been like real hurt really bad. But I just remember it just, man, in slow mo, just like the car just turning. You know what I mean? Having to climb out of it. And, that's what I could remember before being surrounded, guns drawn. And I just could remember, my older brother just telling me to get down. because I just saying, you know, I didn't want to get down for some reason.
Prosecutors opened their case by showing in full a bystander's video of Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck.
But they had their guns drawn, and they just was saying, get down, yelling. And then, like I said, my brother was on the ground saying, like, yo, just get down. So finally I got down. Because in my mind, I'm like, yo, I just couldn't believe it, because I knew it was serious, but I really didn't know how serious. You know what I mean? And this was like reality setting in. As a young kid, you know, just trying to find my way, my crowd, just trying to find some type of acceptance. Unfortunately, you look to people who's don't know it all, but they just a little older than you, so you know, you look to that type of guidance and they lead, but when in reality it's just a blind leading the blind. And I'm not making any excuse, I'm just, like I say, telling y'all my experience. This is my story time of what's going on. So yeah, so basically, fast forward, me and my brothers in there, and we like, can we get our phone call? So pretty much my bro, he just caught up because he was riding with me and some other people, but he wasn't a part of what was going on, and you know, like the Pacific crime that they was looking for me for. He just happened to be in the whip at the time where they spotted us, and that's how he got caught up. So, you know, I knew he was getting out, because like I said, he didn't have anything to do with what they was after. So, but still, they didn't let him go until later on. But because we both asked for the phone call, and when we got the phone call, pretty much telling my mom, well, no, we asked the CO, can we get a phone call to tell our moms to come pick us up? So then she came, she's like, what's your name? Told her the name. She came back, looked at the paper, came back with the paper and the charges, like, because, you know, they got a paper to tell what you charged with and stuff like that. So she come back with the paper, then she started laughing, like, your mom come pick you up. You lucky, you're lucky if you don't get certified. She was like, you lucky if you don't get certified. And I'm like, what? And then she's like, yeah, like you must don't know what like these charges is. You know what I mean? She's like, these are life felonies, like, if you blow trial. So once she said that, that's when reality sunk in. And me and my brother was like, you know what I mean? Like, my brother didn't really have nothing to worry about because he didn't have anything to do with anything. But you could tell he felt for me, like, man, yo, you know what I mean? Like, he was upset that I pretty much went that path with people that he knew that I shouldn't have been probably hanging with and doing these things. So he had, you know, he basically kind of felt for me. Because he seen that I got nervous. You know what I mean? I got scared. I'm not, you know, I'm young. And that's what happens when you out there, you know, as an adolescent, thinking it's sweet. When reality hit and you know, they start saying these numbers, you're like, yo. So I'm like, all right, but, you know, even though, you know what I mean, like, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm not going to show it. I'm like, yo, I'm still going to let my joints hang wherever I go. Because really, I'm just nervous about the time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not worried about anybody in there. Because, you know, like, I know I'm going to defend myself. Like, I've been locked up before, unfortunately, before this in New York, Horizon and all that. It was more like they had more to offer. Let's put it like that. Versus like feeling like a jail, it was more of like, yo, let's try to get you back on track with the things you need. That's just the feel I got. Even though we got into a couple fights in there, you know what I mean? But overall, it wasn't too bad. Even though I stayed for like only maybe a week or two. So, you know, so boom, yeah. So me and bro was in there for a minute. Then we both wound up getting certified. But the thing with that is, he got certified on some other stuff came up, and he got certified for some other, like, he went to a whole nother county. Then they shipped me to a whole nother county, Duval County, which that's where it's known to go down as far as the 6th floor adolescent dorm, exactly where they was sending me. So After about 2 weeks, they told me I went to court. The judge said, I'm certifying you as an adult. You're getting adjudicated as an adult, meaning that the charges I got is so too serious to handle in juvenile court that they got to send it to adult criminal court. So at that time, I'm like, man, it's serious. So I go back. Me and bro go back. I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? I'm just feeling down. You know what I mean? Like I threw my life away, and I didn't know what was the come. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what was ahead of me. You know what I mean? I don't know what it was. I'm just asking questions, and I'm getting answers that, you know, people are trying to be realistic with me. Like, yo, you could do 30, you could do 20 with these charges. You could do minimum. You know what I mean? All these, and I know that it's real because as y'all hear later on down the line, some of the sentences that I witnessed people get just by me, you know, going back and forth and all that. So they tell me to pack it up when I get back. Nah. Matter of fact, they don't even tell you to pack it up. So right from there, they tell you you're not going back to that facility after court. You're going straight there straight to the county jail to get rebooked and all that. So I'm like, wow. Yeah, and me and another juvenile got certified. He had some serious charges too. And you know what I mean? Yeah, he had some serious charges, and he actually had a co-defendant in the juvenile dorm, 6th floor, in the JIT dorm, what they call it, in the JIT dorm. He had a co-defendant already been got certified, and was over there waiting, because in the juvenile part, they tell you, oh yeah, like you'll hear certain names ringing bells who's already over there in the JIT dorm, who's holding that the name is ringing bells all the way to the juvenile, or you know, you just had some guys in there that their name was ringing bells like that. So, you know, I'm hearing the story. So now after court, here it is. I'm going to see what it is now. You know, it was late in the evening, so we getting there, like, we're going to get there probably, you know, we're going to get there, lights out around, like, there's going to people already be, you know, locked in. So it ain't like you know how court is, you know, you get out, wait to see, you get there, wait to see the judge. By the time you leave, that's if you leave after lunch, they take lunch, you're going to get there late. If you see the judge before lunch, you know, you'll get there and probably, you know, get settled in and booked in, and people will still be out for a little while probably, you know. But we got there, we got booked. And I remember before we got into that van, my bro, you know what I mean, who won? I'm gonna call him Lil GP, man. He was from Grand Park out in Jacksonville. You know what I mean? He was from Grand Park. And he was official. It's just, you know, he was 15. Yeah, about 14 or 15, you know what I mean? But he might have been 14, but just he was lying about his age. But he wanted to be an official. It was just, you know, he started crying. You know what I mean? Like, he started crying, like, and I'm like, yo, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, because in the juvenile joint, he was, you know, he was official. He was known. People knew him. He was popular. You know, he held his own. COs knew him. You know what I mean? Like, from getting it in. So I was just confused. Like, bro, what you crying for, bro? Like, and yo, these was his exact words. These words that I'll never forget them. He said, because he don't want to get his tooth knocked out. And I'm like, what, bro? Like, I mean, I didn't understand. I don't know if he heard stories like, yo, they was knocking dudes' teeth. Like, but come to find out, later on down the line, I came to find out exactly why he was so nervous to go over there. I later found out. And it unfolded the morning we got over there. Like, and yo, right, this is part 1. You know what I'm saying? Y'all like this video, man, depending on how much likes or whatever engagement I get with this, I'll probably go on to part 2 and get deeper into the story, man, into the JIT camps, my experience in the JIT camps. Yo, y'all already know what it is. Do what it do.